The story begins with a demon who comes down to the human city of Seoul. His name is Henny, and he is a demon who needs to periodically feed on human energy to survive. Before leaving the demon world, he was a low-level demon who could only survive on low-grade soul supply packs, which did nothing to quench his thirst. He overheard other demons talking about going to the human world, specifically the entertainment industry, and envied them as they spoke about some demons who had so much energy to consume that they had even begun selling the excess. He then decides that whatever he has to do in the human world cannot be worse than the way he is currently living. So, he sets out for the human world's entertainment industry. Henny gets a job at a TV set as a part-time helper. When he arrives, he finds the environment too noisy, but he hadn't expected to land a fancy job immediately. However, he still thinks that the work he does now is not so different from what he did in the demon world. Lost in thought, he accidentally bumps into a man. He quickly apologizes, and the man asks if he's okay. Henny looks up at him and blushes, thinking the man is handsome. The man, noticing he hasn't seen Henny before, asks if he is new. Henny confirms that he is, and the man smiles at him. Then, unexpectedly, the man grabs him by the waist and tells him to keep up the good work before walking away. Henny watches as the man leaves, thinking about how handsome and kind he seems. He then returns to work. And later, during his break, he sits under a stairwell, feeling drained from the day's activities. Suddenly, he feels a cold beverage pressed against his neck. Startled, he turns around sharply, the chilled can now touching his cheek. He flinches at the cold sensation and looks up, locking eyes with another man. The man hands him the drink, telling him that he's been working hard. Henny accepts it and thanks him, blushing as he thinks to himself that the man is handsome. The man continues to stare at him while he opens the drink and takes a sip, making Henny feel a bit self-conscious. He finally asks if there's anything he can help with. The man asks if he's a staff member, to which Henny replies yes. Then, the man asks if he'll be attending the company's dinner party that night. Henny hesitates, saying he doesn't think he would be invited since he's only a part-time worker. The man then asks if he would come if he were invited. Henny says yes, and the man simply responds, "I'll see you there." Before leaving, Henny finds the interaction a little strange but brushes it off. Knowing he needs to get back to work, he sighs, thinking that he came to the human world to absorb energy. But at the rate things are going, he might end up losing more than he gains. When he returns to his work area, the director unexpectedly invites him to the company's dinner party. Henny looks surprised and asks why he's being invited. The director smirks and tells him that they specifically asked for him. Confused, Henny asks, "Who's they?" Before the director can respond, the two men he had met earlier, the one he bumped into and the one who gave him the drink, appear behind him. They approach him in such a friendly manner that even the director seems surprised they know each other. Henny, on the other hand, is completely taken aback. He's only met them today, yet they act as if they've known him forever. At the company dinner, the scene shifts to the company's dinner party, where Henny suddenly finds himself the center of attention. People keep grilling him about how he knows the two men, which leaves him even more confused. It turns out the first man he bumped into is Yoon Woo, a top actor, while the second man, Honey, is the hottest model of the year. Both of them are incredibly famous, yet they treat Henny like an old friend. To make things even more overwhelming, the two of them walk over to his table, acting as if they are extremely familiar with him. Henny, unsure of how to respond, blushes and decides to play along, drinking heavily to distract himself. However, he gets so drunk that he eventually passes out. The unexpected awakening. When he regains consciousness, Henny finds himself lying on a bed, with Honey and Yeon-woo looking down at him, smiling. Before he can process the situation, he realizes something terrifying. He's completely drained of energy. In fact, he feels so exhausted that he wonders if he might die from how much they've made him exert himself. But then, something strange happens. Instead of feeling weaker, he suddenly notices that being close to them is actually replenishing his energy. In fact, their energy is unlike anything he's ever absorbed before. Just a little is enough to make him feel completely full. Caught up in the overwhelming sensation, Henny fails to notice when his disguise drops. His true form, horns, tail, and all, is fully exposed. As soon as he realizes this, he panics and passes out again. Honey smirks at Yeon-woo and says, "It was inevitable. After all we put him through. There was no way he could keep up the disguise. A prisoner in chains." The next morning, Henny jolts awake, only to find himself still in his true form. But that isn't the worst part. His hands are bound in chains, and a collar is locked around his neck. Staring at the restraints, he mutters, "Well, I guess it can't be helped." This is exactly how a human would react after seeing a demon's true form. He smirks, thinking the chains might be tough. But even a low-level demon like him should be able to break free. He tugs at them. Nothing happens. Confused, he pulls harder. Still nothing. He starts yanking at them with all his strength. But the chains refuse to budge. Just then, Hijin enters the room and calmly informs him, "You won't be able to break those. They're made with our power. Even high-level demons can't break them." Henny's eyes widen. You know about demons?" he asks, suspicion creeping into his voice. He suddenly wonders, could Hijin be a high-level demon? Deciding to play it safe, Henny pretends to be polite and pleads with them to let him go. "I can't afford to miss work," he insists. Honey turns to Yeon-woo, who has just entered the room, and asks what they should do with him. Yeon-woo nonchalantly replies, "Well, I checked, and there's no soul contract under his name." Both of them then tell Henny that they can't allow him to continue working with humans and stealing their energy. They inform him that they've placed sanctions on him. Henny kicks back, arguing that no matter how high level they are, they can't prevent him from absorbing energy. He needs it to survive. But instead of answering, they smirk. Then, in an instant, they transform, unfolding magnificent, glowing wings. Henny's heart nearly stops. They're not demons. They're angels. A new contract. Hijin grabs him by the collar and says, "You absorbed high-quality energy from us last night. So don't act like you're starving." Yeon-woo adds, "Didn't you know? There are plenty of angels working in the human entertainment industry." 2. Henny feels his stomach drop. He realizes he's not the only demon who fell for the rumors about the industry being a goldmine for energy. Panicked, he starts crying and pleading with them not to arrest him. Honey sighs, "We kind of have to." Yeon-woo, however, chuckles and adds, "But don't worry, we'll make sure you get a cute cell since you're such a cutie." Henny sobs harder, promising he'll do anything if they let him go. His desperation amuses them. Honey strokes his cheek and asks, "Would you like to make a deal with us instead?" Henny immediately agrees, thinking anything is better than prison. Yo and Woo explains the terms. They'll allow him to live freely. They'll provide him with energy, so he won't have to steal from humans. In exchange, he must not absorb energy from anyone else. He'll have to stay close to them so they can monitor him. It sounds almost too good to be true. But with no other choice, Henny accepts. He signs the contract, and a glowing black diamond-shaped tattoo appears on his wrist, a mark that signifies his bond with them. From now on, he's officially under their protection. A new life. As Henny marvels at his new mark, Yo-and-Woo suddenly declares, "Time for breakfast." Henny tries to refuse, saying he isn't hungry, but they remind him that demons feed on energy and shouldn't skip meals. They then ask if he can take energy from both of them at once. Afterward, Henny realizes it's already 10 a.m. Panicking, he freaks out about being late for work. The angels simply snap their fingers and change into their human clothes in an instant. Leaving Henny in awe, he mutters, "I'm jealous. All I can do is fly." Yo-and-Woo smirks. "You're already a mid-level demon. You'll gain new abilities soon." Henny feels a surge of happiness, until his stomach suddenly twists in pain. A burning sensation spreads through his body, and he collapses. Honey and Yo-and-Woo, worried, call a high-level demon doctor to examine him. After a long lecture about energy absorption, the doctor explains that Henny took in too much energy too fast, causing him to overload. The angels are unfazed. "We're not stopping," they declare. The doctor sighs, muttering that they have a symbiotic relationship anyway. Before leaving, once alone, Honey and Yo-and-Woo cuddle up to Henny, their new bonded demon. And so, Henny's strange new life begins. The end.